Straight Line is brought to you in part by the Toledo Clinic ENT, specializing in allergy, nasal, and sinus care.
You're watching Straight Line with Dan Rogers, President and CEO of Cherry Street Mission Ministries.
Welcome back to the Straight Line, and my name is Delray Bush. Today we're talking about one of those topics that is so important for Cherry Street, and our community can get involved this way, volunteering.
Well, you can't say enough about our human resource, can you, Delray? The reality is Cherry Street Mission Ministries is a human endeavor and has been for nearly 70 years in our community.
What does that mean for us?
Well, you know, if you go back 13, 14 years ago, we didn't have very many volunteers walking through Cherry Street. Didn't mean we didn't have any volunteers at all. We had a volunteer program, but, you know, it was in need of a lot of engagement at the human level. And now, as you'll see in today's broadcast, more than 5,000 Cherry Street Mission Ministries volunteers show up annually. One
of the cool things about volunteering is that you can do it in so many different ways. You can do it through answering telephones,
right,
to working in our kitchen, to like what I started at in an education center.
Correct. Yeah, hopefully as our viewers and our community continue to take a long and enduring look at volunteer opportunities, they'll see opportunity after opportunity to take their skill set, their life experience, and be able to see that being made available for people in the community that need them.
Sure, and we're going to be speaking with one of our very dedicated volunteers today.
We are. As a matter of fact, Donna is a really unique volunteer with us. She came through the process of, you know, her kids leaving home, and like most of us, you know, you find yourself in empty nest syndrome, and a person with a lot of skill and a lot to give to people around her. And instead of going back to work, which is what she initially thought she would do, she turned her heart and her attention to serving her community through volunteerism. So Donna will be here in a little bit, and we'll get to hear her story.
And what a cool way to volunteer. She does everything from our answering of phones, such things that you might not think that's a huge skill, but for us, that's great.
Well, certainly, you know, Cherry Street is a dynamic organization in that we're in 13, 14 facilities in 9 different neighborhoods. There's a lot of traffic, and Donna said, and you'll hear it today, she wanted to be the first person people see. You'll see why.
Absolutely. So I'm excited for us to kind of delve into that topic.
Yeah, no question. So as you tune into today's broadcast, we have always an opportunity to share with you what your efforts are doing, where and how your efforts are happening. Let's watch today's video together.
Imagine being tossed into hell. Imagine standing there. Imagine the heat of it, the flame of it, the worry of it. Now imagine someone is standing right beside you because they are. And you know they're not there for any other reason than you. That is Cherry Street Mission Ministries. We stand in the hell of other people's choosing on purpose.
And so here we have with us today Donna. Donna, we're going to introduce you in a quick minute, but I want to let all of our viewers know that what you just saw is the tremendous way that you endear yourself at Cherry Street every single day. You know, our work is not outside of hell, but our work is inside of hell. And you know, what we're talking about is the hell that people find themselves in every day. That's, man, sometimes they did that by themselves, all by themselves, by decisions they've made along the way. And sometimes they were drugged there by circumstances. Perhaps early childhood development went very wrong for them. But in another case, all of us in our lifetime have found ourselves really inside of hell on a topic. And yet, all of us got out of hell in whatever way that we were in it. Maybe it was addiction, maybe it was just lost in employment, maybe it was lost in family, maybe it was just lost in anonymity. But all of us got out of it because somebody went and stood with us. That's really what volunteerism is all about. When you think about volunteerism, and as I introduce Donna in a moment, think about it, today's broadcast, from simply the perspective of how you close the distance between you and somebody else. And the closer you make that connection, That's volunteerism. Every step you make toward another person closes the distance and brings about greater opportunity and possibility for God to do something great and dynamic. Donna, thank you so much for being here today. You are a
My
wonderful
pleasure.
volunteer. You've not been with us very long, but before we get into your volunteerism here at Cherry Street, why don't we get into your life? Let's dig around a little bit. Who are
Okay.
you? You're married, you got kids. You heard me say at the top of the show that you came into volunteerism because, you know, your kids went off to college.
Empty nester.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have 3 children, all of which are out of the house right now. One has graduated college. Or actually, my top 2, my son and my daughter, both graduated college and are successful in holding a job right now.
Okay.
My youngest is still at college down in Cincinnati, and he's at Xavier University and doing very well.
Okay.
It became difficult. When everybody left, I felt like I was alone. You
Well,
know?
what was the difficulty? Because, you know, there's hundreds of our viewers a day that are experiencing what you and your husband and my wife and I have experienced. You know, your kids leave and, you know, you look at it and you go, what am I doing?
Well, I think the hardest part of the whole thing is I felt alone, and that I just, whatever I did with my kids, I guess I just never realized how much I did.
Okay.
So when they left, I had all this time to sit and stew about, were they getting in trouble? Were they successful? Did they need me? You know, how far away
Did
were
they need lunch?
Did they need lunch? Did
Right.
I clean the room enough times? Did I go through the room enough times? And, you know, those kind of things bothered me. And I started to look at things a lot differently, that, you know, I was looking for problems as opposed to helping the problems.
Were you a hammer looking for a nail?
Yeah, sort of,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that's unpleasant.
I know it was.
Right?
It was.
So-
It became really difficult, and
Okay.
and actually part of me became depressed.
Okay.
Because I came home and I just had a sort of a breakdown and said, you know what? I need to do more than what I'm doing, because when I had a job and when I took care of the kids, even though there wasn't somebody always tapping me on the back, saying, "Oh, you did a great job,"
Right.
You know, I felt like I needed to
Well,
know
you
I
had
did.
that inner satisfaction of knowing
Right.
that you were helping someone else.
Absolutely. And, you know, whether I volunteered at the school or volunteered at, you know, any kind of organization, whether it be soccer or whatever, I became part of it. And now that was all gone.
Okay.
So I felt that depression come in.
Well, Donna, how much of a time lapsed by the time, you know, the last kid went off to college and you decided, oh man, I'm in trouble?
Probably 3 months.
Wow, that's pretty quick.
3 months, and that was well more than, way more than I anticipated that.
Okay. Did you
I
feel
could
at
handle.
one time during those 3 months that you're going to snap out of it?
I did. I thought that, you know, I could enjoy this. I could
Okay.
have this free time and do whatever I wanted to, but I don't know what the everything I wanted to do was.
Oh.
You know, because
Yeah.
really nothing was there to fill that spot.
Okay.
And, you know, and it wasn't until my husband came home one day and said, you know, obviously something's wrong. Let's talk about it. And I said,
Why? Because you're laying prostrate on the floor?
yeah, and I was like, I cried and said,
Sure.
there's got to be more to life than just sitting here. This is not the end of my life. I just
and did
feel
you
like this
think
is the
about
beginning.
re-entering the labor force at that
I
point?
did.
Okay.
And that to me still wasn't a big thing I wanted to do, because it wasn't that I wanted to go back into the healthcare or anything like that, because I felt like the structure of the schedule was not what I was looking for.
Okay.
And my husband was the one that came home and he says, well, why don't you volunteer? Volunteer your time. You could do so much for people, because you're so friendly and you're so outgoing and you make people happy. Why don't you do something about it? And that's why, you know, I decided to go through.
Was he not a fan of you going back to work?
I don't think so, because I don't think he wanted me to be away that much, where
Okay.
it would be a full-time job.
Where you've got now an added commitment in
Right,
the family.
and he still wanted me to be available if my kids called and said, hey, listen,
sure.
Mom, I need you. Can you
Sure.
come down, 5-hour drive in 10 minutes? And he wanted me to be available for that. And I think that when I thought about it, I said, that's what I am supposed to be, a mom, you know, that should be able to drop something
Okay.
and run for my kids if they need me. And the volunteering allows you to do that, because
does.
there are times when I've called and said, listen, I've got to be gone for the week.
Yeah.
You know, we've got some problems and I can't come in.
Well, we're not going to fire you.
Well, no, and if you
Yeah.
do, you know I'm going to hunt you down.
Right, then there's that, right?
I'm sorry, yeah. Because it is my favorite job in the world.
Because
And
you like it so much.
I do. And I have to tell you, this is probably out of all the jobs I've ever had, and I've had a lot in so many years, this is probably my all-time favorite job in my entire life.
No kidding.
It is. It's because I'm selfish. I
Are ya?
love the satisfaction it gives me as a person.
Okay.
It makes me feel like I'm doing for others. And to tell you the truth, I don't think there's any greater feeling than doing for others and making them happy and making a difference. You know, and I can't say I'm either the most religious person or I'm not the most, you know, knowledgeable on skills. But the things that I can provide,
Yeah.
I try, and if I can't, I figure out a way to do that. And honestly, it is a selfish part of me that says, you know, I need to feel good. And this is one way to make me feel good. And
Okay.
I'm telling you, it is the best feeling in the world.
Well, if I remember the story right, your husband handed you a list.
Yes, he did.
Right? And there's a few nonprofits. He gave you some parameters.
He did.
What were some of those parameters?
The parameters were make sure you work for somebody that you truly believe in,
Okay.
and it has the right mission behind it. And number one, that when you do something for them, it's going to the right people.
Okay.
And it's going for the right reason. Because we all know that, you know, we've given money to organizations and you think, geez, where did that
where'd it
go?
go? Right.
Where'd it go? Did it go for something else that you're not sure of? And I can tell you that at the top of his list was Cherry Street Mission.
Okay.
And I was reluctant at first. You know I was.
Well, you know, Cherry Street Mission Ministries, downtown, or at
Downtown.
least the way we think of downtown, right?
Oh, way out of Sylvania. I mean, thousands
Okay, well,
and
if you're in
thousands of
Sylvania,
miles away.
You're thinking
Yeah.
about downtown in the
Right.
classic sense, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of stigma associated with
Oh,
that.
absolutely, absolutely, and that scared me because when my husband said Cherry Street Mission, I said, "Well, I don't know if I want to do that." And he's like, "You would be good. You would be good. Just try it. Try it, and if you don't like it, you quit. You're a volunteer."
Well, he knows you. You guys
Yeah.
have been married for more than a couple
Almost
of
30
years.
years,
Right?
almost
There you
30
go.
years.
So he had an idea what was really going to work for you.
He did,
I
and
was
he
grateful
knows.
to him that Cherry Street was on his short list.
Yeah, it
of
was a short
opportunities
list.
for you. Okay. You tried another organization. It wasn't really working out for you.
No, and you know what? I think that was their fault because then they eventually called me and wanted me back, and I was like, "I'm sorry, I've already been dedicated to the Cherry Street Mission." And I think they felt bad because initially, I think they were excited to have me on board, but I think there was a miscommunication,
Sure.
and somebody forgot to call me.
Sure.
Which I'm a karma person. I believe that happened for a reason.
Okay.
So now you're never going to get rid of me.
Okay, so you decided, you know what, Cherry Street's on the list.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, help me if I'm wrong, the organization that you initially tried actually recommended.
They did.
Cherry
That's
Street
why
as well.
I'm saying I think this whole thing was supposed to
So
happen.
here you have your husband talking about
Yeah,
it,
and then
another volunteer organization talking about it.
Exactly.
You should try Cherry Street.
Yeah.
And so how did you know, we have viewers that are watching us today that I guarantee you know, they're from Sylvania, they're from the outer
Yeah.
regions, right? And I know there's thousands of them
Oh,
that
yeah.
are thinking, okay, how do I get to even downtown? Like, what are the streets even
I
connecting
know.
where I am to that
Oh, my gosh.
location? How did you work through not only the stigma, Donna, but how did you get over your own perception?
Just crossing that fine line of saying, okay, I'm going to just try it. I'm going to go outside my little comfort box and try it. If I don't like it, I won't go back. I'll just tell them, I'll make an excuse why I can't go back.
Yeah.
And I
So
think,
if you came down and we like really freaked you out,
yeah,
then you'd be like, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't have come back.
We'll
But I can
scamper.
tell you that Brenda and Becca,
Yes.
you know, at my orientation, when I sat there, and I'll be honest, you know, the people around my table, there were people that were doing it for reasons because they were mandated by court or
Yes.
other reasons.
Yeah.
And I sat there thinking, why aren't we doing this for the right reasons? You should
Yeah.
not be doing it for those reasons. And it made me come
So they
back and
weren't
want
there
to do
for
it.
the altruistic reasons you were there.
No, no. Everybody was there for different reasons.
Different ways, yeah.
And actually that was even more surprising to me that so many people were at that table for all these different reasons. I thought they all came because I knew what I would. The same reason
wait,
me.
Donna, did you think at one time in your life that everybody was like you?
I thought so.
Okay, well there you go. Shock number one. We got over that one.
I know. And you know, it was the realization that downtown is A-okay. I mean,
Yes.
it really is. And more than anything.
And there are streets that do, in fact,
they
connect
They do.
downtown to
and you can
Sylvania.
get out of it too. You
well,
can
if you
leave.
got there, you can reverse your steps. You can get back.
But I'll tell you, the selling point,
What was it?
hands down, is the people that work at Cherry Street.
Well, let's talk about that for a moment.
Okay.
Because you have fit really well into our culture. But
Yeah.
I want to go back so we can really lay the framework great for.
Okay.
You attended one of our
Orientations.
orientations, which is really, really easy to do. You can go to our website at cherrystreetmission.org, and you can actually see our orientations. They're scheduled. Just come down.
It was so short too.
Right?
Short,
Come
sweet,
on down,
paperwork
look at the,
done.
Good. And so you got through the orientation. They must have handed you a form of saying, hey, where would you like to work?
And I said anywhere.
But actually, Becca, who is our volunteer director,
Mm-hmm.
engaged you. What happened?
She said, Donna, I could see you sitting at our front desk and greeting people at our front door. And I'm like,
What did she see? What do
I
you think?
love this.
What did you think she saw?
I think she saw how friendly and outgoing I was, and how much I wanted to help, and how much I wanted to be part of Cherry Street. And I think that was when I met Becca, and even Brenda, who has been there for 1,000 years maybe
Yeah,
or
I think
so.
1,010. This is our 1,010th year anniversary.
You know, seeing her face and
Yeah.
saying, you could really help us out. You would,
Okay.
it would help us out so much you can't imagine.
So that was it.
Yeah,
Brenda,
I was sold.
You were like,
This is it.
I can see I'm going to destroy your life if
Oh
I don't
yeah.
volunteer
Oh
here.
yeah. I mean,
And
I already
she's-
had the desk plate picked
she's
out.
She's got a great way
Yeah.
of encouraging people to come in. And you actually believed you wanted to be one of the first people saw when they walked into the ministry.
I did, because I wanted to change their perception
Okay.
of the way I perceived the place before I became part of Cherry Street. Because my perception was negative in a lot of ways.
Of course.
And
the people, the place, the location.
all
Right.
three of those things.
Yeah.
And I was reluctant, and I was very standoffish, and not snobby, but uneducated.
Yeah.
And I think the first step of coming out of my comfort zone was to make that trip to orientation and to actually see what I was going to do. And I'll tell you, I actually have to fight with some volunteers, and this is true, to keep my spot at that desk because
Well,
everybody wants to
you
do
have
it.
made it now a very attractive volunteer opportunity.
See, and that's what I'm thinking.
Because you're sitting there and people are like, well, I
know,
can do what Donna does.
And to tell you the truth, I don't even care if I'm at the desk. I'll do anything else that they want, you know, and I really like being part of it. I going to the Madison, going to the men's, you know, the men's residence. All that I love doing because I think the more you're there, the more comfort you have, and they're not scary. You know, they're approachable. Everybody is friendly, and everybody has a good heart.
Well, let's talk about the people of Cherry Street because, you know, everyone comes through the door. You don't know who they are.
Right.
It's staff. It's other volunteers. It's donors. It's our guests, right?
Right.
What is it about the people and the culture of Cherry Street?
The diversity.
Tell me
the
about that.
diversity I appreciate so much because I really try to teach my family, the kids. I don't have to teach my husband, but my kids, I try to bring them up on the diversity of the world.
Okay.
And knowing that everyone can be appreciated for who they are. And I mean, everybody likes to hear a worse story than what you're going through, but you know, in honesty, I think the people that are there, the workers, the residents,
Yeah.
you know, it's the diversity that attracts me. And I know that everybody has something to give. And I hope that I'm there to help them get it.
Yeah. You know, you have mentioned you're not a religious person. We obviously love all people that come to
Absolutely.
Cherry Street. From your perspective, not being really grounded in a religious tradition, what's it like working around people of faith? What's it working around people who have found that place?
Uplifting. And I think that's probably the best word I could come up with because even though I may not be on that religious level of some people,
Yeah.
I was raised Catholic, I was brought up Catholic, I'm kind of a believer in a lot of things, but I am a believer in God. But I could tell you that working around the people that I do at Cherry Street,
Yeah.
it's so refreshing to hear everybody's views, and no one is frowned upon by what they believe or what they don't believe. And
Do you feel like anyone at Cherry Street has judged you in any way?
Absolutely not.
Because you don't see
oh, maybe
faith
some of the
way-
girls in the office, they joke around with me, but no,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, but you know it's all in fun. But
Yeah.
you know, Donna, I think that you're going to be a lot like me, you know, and a lot like others. You know, you hang around, you know, people of faith long enough, it's going to
Oh, and
impact
I know that.
you. Do you feel
it
that?
does.
Do you see that coming?
Yeah,
Your
I
direction?
do.
Yeah.
Because to tell you the truth, I think that it grounds you and it gives you like sort of like a foundation.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I was away from it for so long,
Yeah.
and then it has kind of given me that foundation again to start building on.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody I work with
Yeah.
at Cherry Street has changed my life dramatically, except for the point that they make me want to stay longer and help people.
I can't tell you how grateful I am to hear that.
Yeah.
Because we, as you well know, you've been with us long enough, we pay attention to this very, very carefully. You know, Cherry Street, our determination is to be as redemptive as possible.
Right.
And it takes a lot of work to be redemptive, you know. Your job alone at Cherry Street as a volunteer, the way you interact with people and answer phones, you know how difficult it is with the people on the other end to be as redemptive as possible, and I know you're doing it. Yeah. You know, Donna, can I encourage you about something?
Sure.
Because I was at a stage in my life where I was very much the same way, you know, but you know, the Bible talks really clearly about you may not have made certain decisions the way I've made certain decisions about my relationship to God through Jesus Christ. But Donna, can I tell you something? You have the behavior of a Christian. You have the behavior of a heart that loves people, you know, and is willing to serve people. And I would say the Bible says of people like you, you're closer than you realize. You
I know,
You know,
I
because
know.
you have this godliness, you know, in your heart and in your behavior. And you know, I just trust that as you continue to let us serve you and let us love you as much as you serve and love us, that you'll see that in time as well. But you know, Donna, you're a tremendous person to have around.
Oh, thank
you. Know, everybody at Cherry Street. You know, I can remember first hearing about you from staff members. Have you met Donna? And I'm like, well, there's only about 500 people that come through here every 24 hours. Which Donna are you talking about? They're like, no, our new volunteer Donna, working at admin. And I remember my first engagement with you, and I think you gave me yap about something.
Valentine's Day roses for your wife that I thought you should
correct.
buy her.
You were grilling me as to whether I had already loved my wife on Valentine's
Yeah.
Day, which I appreciated because I'm not at all nagged enough about these things, so I included you in that day.
Yes,
but,
you did.
But you know what? It was a great reminder, and my wife got roses that day.
Thank you. And you know what?
Yeah.
And everybody was a little surprised that I talked to you like that when I didn't
What?
know who you were. And I said it didn't matter because I was a volunteer and I could do that. But I could tell you, I know the position that you have, and I never felt more comfortable talking with someone or being around somebody as I do with you. And I know about the Christian part, and I do feel like I'm a really good Christian. I just feel like my best place in the world is with Cherry Street Mission.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where I blossom, because you do more for me than I do for you. I'm telling you.
A lot of people will say this, you know, Donna, thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure.
You lift the gospel of Jesus Christ to so many people, and you encourage so many people, and I hope to have you back on the show sometime soon.
Will do.
As you think about supporting Cherry Street Mission Ministries, we'd like you to take a look at the following video, and then we'll come back. Let's take a look together. You know, Cherry Street Mission Ministries from 1947 until this very day has always been about people. People like you, people that come through our doors for a wide range of reasons. So when you financially and prayerfully support Cherry Street, you are actually making an investment in life revitalization. And I think one of the cool things about that is we're all about revitalizing and transforming every life that comes through one of our doors, no matter what the reason. That's the great thing about your support and your investment of Cherry Street, is the way that lives are transformed and changed. Del Rey, I don't think there's a better experiencing life than to freely give of your time and your talent the way we saw Donna give of her time and talent. As you're thinking through volunteerism and even the way that you came into Cherry Street, because you came as a volunteer.
I did.
And now you're on staff with us. What did you learn today? What was Donna saying? What were you like, oh yeah, that's right? What was really meaningful for you today on today's show?
Something that I find extremely meaningful is that Cherry Street Mission Ministries meets you where you are, no matter where you are. So if that's a volunteer, if that's a guest, if that's one of our board members, if that's Dan Rogers, you know, Cherry Street's going to meet you there.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be something you're not. We just want you as a person here.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I tell people all the time, and I'm actually on record about it, and I'll put myself on record again today. My life has been changed by Cherry Street Mission Ministries. You know, this is my 13th year with the ministry. And to be honest with you, there are sometimes I don't remember what the Dan Rogers before Cherry Street looked like, just because, you know, of the dynamic thing that God does in each one of our lives every single day. And as you think continually about the way that you support Cherry Street Mission Ministries, can I encourage you about something today? Do you know that for just $104, you can impact 60 people? Isn't that a phenomenal thing to think about? Such a small gift. For many of us, you know, this is just a few times out. And yet, for that amount of investment, 60 people will experience Donna. 60 people will experience people like her that engage at a personal level and really care and really, you know, close that distance between problems and solutions. And isn't that really what straight line is all about? Straight line is just making the crooked around us as straight as we possibly can and getting those 2 points, you know, quicker to solution as possibly. And that is what God does for us, and it's what God does through you every single day. If you've not been around Cherry Street recently, can I encourage you to do that? Just pick up the phone, dial one of our numbers. The easiest one is 419-242-5141. Easier yet, go to our website at cherrystreetmission.org. Click on that How Can I Help button, and just a world of opportunity will open up for you. There's ways that you can pray and ways that you can volunteer like Donna's doing. There are certainly ways that you can financially support as well. But in any case, Cherry Street Mission Ministries is your mission right in your backyard. You don't have to hop a plane. You don't have to go across seas. You can just do this really, really long trip that Donna did from Sylvania to downtown Toledo. And that becomes your mission field. You heard it all day long. Donna is now a missionary. I don't know that she knows that, but she should. She's a missionary to people that really need her the most. And so, Del Rey, as we close out today's show, you know, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for the way that God brought you into our ministry. I'm glad you're standing here today.
Thank you.
And that we can share redemption together.
Absolutely. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.